Welcome to another episode of Roadmap to Wealth podcast. Today we are going to talk with Michelle Neujahr. Michelle is an energetic and entrepreneur and breathtaking business person, serious about helping businesses grow, and she brings in depth and breadth of real business experience to each one of your clients, whether a small business owner or a multi-million-dollar corporation. For Michelle, growth is about creativity, accountability, and strategy. She knows how to get her clients there because she's done it herself. Michelle is a wife, mother of three, grandmother of two, an entrepreneur at heart, and a lover of chocolate. She is also a genuine connector of people and ideas and tireless advocate for her clients. Michelle has the unique ability to help business owners feel more comfortable in who they are and what they're trying to do. Welcome, Michelle. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Let's start. Tell me about the time you started your business. How did all this started?
Well, I got out of college. I had a degree in journalism and I could not find a job. I was a single mom and had just gotten married.
Okay.
And a friend of mine introduced me to a direct sales business selling scrapbooks. And the investment was $1,000. Okay. My husband thought I was crazy. But I took, we didn't have a lot of money back then, but I took what we had and started a business. And within 3 years, I proudly was making more than my husband was. So the first time was really out of necessity.
Okay, I see. Yes, sometimes it was a great success. Great. What was the hardest challenge in business?
For me, the hardest challenge is and always has been focus. I have a ton of great ideas and I want to be, I like to chase shiny things. So I get a new idea and I go running after that. And then another idea comes. And the biggest challenge for me has been keeping focused and making sure that I follow all the way through on the most important projects, the projects that are going to lead to a business that's sustainable, that's scalable. And I have to put a lot of things like in the parking lot or the idea file to get to someday.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, I see. Sometimes it can happen.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel that you're a very passionate person. What makes you passionate about your business?
From the time I was a little girl, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I love learning about businesses and business people and how they came up with their ideas. And over the years, I started my career really more as a motivational speaker, trainer, and I still do quite a bit of speaking, but only in the business growth segment. Okay. And I think what makes me most passionate is I see results for my clients. And that is, it's so exciting to watch them. Like I have a marketing firm that I've worked with for about 5 years, and they have, had growth that's 6 times what they started and hired people and are doing work that they love. So that keeps me passionate. It keeps me excited every day about what I do.
Yes, I can imagine. I know this feeling because I coach myself. So yes, first time you started and the very first client, and you see that you get this fantastic result. You see, wow, finally you can get it. You nail it.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And then you have some, low moments along the way where you go, why am I doing this?
Yeah. Sometimes it's absolutely a mess and you say, okay, maybe I have to change something. But anyway, when we get these results with clients, actually that's what we keep motivated because it's sometimes it can be a very pretty hard job, being a coach sometimes. But yeah, when you see this exceptional results for your clients, you say, yeah, I'm doing the right thing.
Exactly.
Tell me about a project that you consider be the most significant in your life.
Oh, in addition to being married for 28 years.
I know.
Yes, I would say the most significant is I have for the last 13 years taught entrepreneurship at a local community college.
Yes. Okay.
And the dozen or so students that I have worked with who are 18 or 19 or 20 who've started a business has been some of the most rewarding moments of my entire career.
Yes, when you teach the young, say our future, yes, and you change their life at the beginning.
Exactly.
So you were back in time when you became an entrepreneur and started your business. what would you do differently?
Well, as I kind of alluded to in the beginning, my lack of focus or, too focused on too many things. I think what I would do differently is I would choose a path that I was passionate about, but that had a clear path to revenue. And I would stay on that path until that was more fully developed before I would add another thing to my business or another offering.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that in businesses now that I work with, the ones that it's almost like they hold themselves back and they grow smart versus growing fast.
Yes.
The other thing that I would do differently is I would believe in myself sooner. I had a lot of self-doubt and a lot of insecurities as a young businesswoman. And looking back now, I would tell my younger self, just be who you are. Like, be the brilliance that you have and don't worry about the brilliance that you don't have. Because we all have both.
Yes, we don't have both. Anyway, judging yourself, you don't need it because anyway, others will judge you and they will judge you differently who you are, or, it's just a perception. Just do the best and what you can and don't judge yourself and don't judge others. See,
exactly.
Yes, okay. Tricky question. If your business collapsed today, what would you do next?
I would probably have some tears for a moment. And I would sit outside in the backyard with my husband and we would brainstorm one of the 5 or 6 other ideas that we sit around at a bonfire and talk about at night. And we would figure out how to start the next business. Yes. I truly, if I had to, if everything fell apart, I could go to work for somebody else, but I don't ever see myself doing that. It would be, how could we start another business? What could we do with the skill sets that we have that the marketplace needs?
Yes. Have you had an experience to working for somebody already, or you just started in the young years and never had an experience to work for somebody?
So as I said, I work for a college, which is
but
I also did for 3 years. I was the VP of Sales and Marketing for a benefits firm.
Yes. So you know what is it?
I do know.
Because actually, teaching at college, it's not exactly you are a free person there. But when you go to the office and you have a boss, it's a little bit different. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. And I don't ever see myself going to an office and having a boss ever again. I don't think I'm made for that.
Yeah. I think we all of us are made for that, but just a lot of people just too scared or don't know how. I don't know. It's like, we will speak about it in a minute. How would you start over if you had little or no capital?
So each of my businesses, I've started with very little or no capital. My husband and I started a construction company that we sold when we moved to Maine 14 years ago. And we took out a small home equity loan to buy a few tools, and we literally had one project that was like 2 weeks of work. My husband was the only employee at the time, and we literally got out and networked. And I called every person we knew, sent postcards to every person we knew, my doctor, my lawyer, my neighbor, and we just bootstrapped from the ground up. And I look back, it was like we didn't owe anybody any money. We didn't have big debt. I too often see entrepreneurs taking out money because they can, but that's not in the best interest of the business long term.
Of course.
Or wanting to go out and get investors when that can really hurt the business in the long run because you've given so much of it away. So I think it's looking creatively at, okay, where might I be able to sneak some money out? Who do I know who could, without giving my business away, help me to get off the ground? And what's the fastest path to cash? I don't have to have my doors fully opened. I've watched students do little pop-up stands, little pop-up food stands, or, sell their food out of somebody else's food truck to be able to get that first $500 to then, invest in, second rendition. So I think every day I get up and I do one thing that could potentially generate revenue. And so I think too often entrepreneurs get caught up in the idea, I got to build the website, I got to have my store perfect, I've got to, have 14 coaching certificates and then I'll start. I always just say start with what's the fastest path to getting some money in the door so that then I can do some of those other things.
Yes, it's absolutely true. Some people are stuck in business actually because they want to start business or start something new, but they need to learn something first. And they go on learning, testing, building, but they never actually go where money are.
Exactly. I know. Yeah. They might have a really great website, but if nobody's buying, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yes, exactly. It's just a hobby, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
I've seen that you've done a lot of things in your life, but if you can share a person who had an impact on you, maybe it was some entrepreneur or maybe it was a mentor. I don't know if you had mentored in your life. How did they influence you, and what the piece of advice maybe you can share with us?
So there were a couple. Zig Ziglar really inspired me as a young person. Yeah. I grew up listening to motivational cassette tapes every night when I went to bed.
Yes, it was at the back to the cassette tapes, yes.
Yes. But then I met a woman, her name was Jana Kramer. She became a very good friend. She has since passed away, but she was one of the very first people to mentor me in the speaking business. Mm-hmm. And a piece of advice that she gave me about speaking is she said, Michelle, 90% of speaking is about who you are, and 10% is about what you do on the platform. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And what she was really telling me is grow yourself, develop yourself, be the best version of you. Do what you need to do to be strong and solid on the inside, because that's going to allow you to build a strong and solid business. And as a young person, I think I met her when I was probably 21 or 22 years old. Oh, okay. I thought, well, it's all about learning to have really good skills on stage. Mm-hmm. And that was part of it. I needed that. But what I needed was that internal strength and confidence and knowledge so that when I stood on stage, that's what came out. Yes, I see. Thank you for sharing. It's very important for our listeners, I think. So people think, yes, now we're speaking actually of the young entrepreneurs. And sometimes the young entrepreneurs, just somebody at speed, thinking that business is something very difficult. And it is, of course. Mm-hmm. And it always ends up in failure. Why do you think people believe this? Because I think you hear that often. My one grandfather, I can remember him saying, well, he worked at Ford his whole life. Like, there's no money in that. You need a sure thing. It's going to fail. And I think we all know businesses or owners that have failed. Statistics, though, say it's usually the second, third, or fourth business of an entrepreneur that is actually the very successful one. Yeah. You just don't hear that. And so I think it's fear. We fear the unknown. So it's easier to latch on to, well, I know people who didn't succeed, rather than, wow, here's the people who did. And I think we're starting to see more of the entrepreneurial, the positive side of the story shared. Mm-hmm. But I think there's still a lot of that in schools, in organizations, with your neighbors. I remember when I published a book in my 20s, people were really weird. It was like, well, you're never going to sell any books. Well, who do you nobody came out and really said it, but there was this weird, like, I kind of knew people didn't think it would be successful. Oh, it's mean. Yes, and yes, people sometimes, yes, it's very important. You mentioned it. Actually, people, especially your relatives and friends and colleagues, sometimes they bring you down because they, not because they don't want you to success, but sometimes even this too, but because they just don't believe themselves can get success. Yeah. And they project it on you. And speaking about how many times you need to what you need to do and how many times you need to test the water, I have a friend of mine, and he actually tested 43 times business. 42 was a failure, 42 times. Yep.
And 43, he became millionaire.
Woohoo!
So, sometimes you just need to do what you like, to do what you love.
And never give up.
Never give up, yes, because, but he's an exception, of course. I don't know anybody like him because he was just a stubborn person,
Mm-hmm.
He tested just like everything. Normally, yes, statistically. So just don't give up and test the water.
Exactly.
Test it, choose another one, test it. So something new will come and you will see you get it. Okay, what do you think? What skills or habits or both helped you to become successful?
I think the number one is just a spirit of positivity. Being able to, I'm also a fighter. It didn't come from money. It didn't come from, the greatest of backgrounds. But early on, I was a fighter. Like I saw what I wanted and I was willing to go after it. And I knew hard times. I knew poverty. I knew what it was like to not have a lot. And so I didn't feel like I had huge expectations, but I knew what I wanted, and as the more I started to have some success, the more I kind of expanded that vision of, wow, here's what could be possible. But I think through it all, it's the practice of positivity, of gratitude, and also of balance. Like I always want to love my business. And I often see business owners, it's going to take a lot in the beginning. But if you don't stop to also enjoy your life, you're going to wake up one day and hate your business.
And you will ruin your business, actually.
You will burn yourself out. And so, you think about all the traits that are entrepreneurial traits. I think, keeping a positive attitude for me has always been number one.
Yes, it's absolutely important to have a positive attitude. And also you need to love what you do. So if you don't love what you do anymore, sell the business.
Agreed.
Do something else, because otherwise it's actually being an entrepreneur, it's pretty hard actually, because you work more than if you just do 5-7 jobs,
Yep.
But if you do so, you just need to enjoy every day what you're doing. And it's like, and if you don't enjoy it, it will be a miserable life, even if they bring you some money and some, I don't know, some success, I don't know, recognition, social recognition, something like this. But if you don't like it, it will be a torture. So drop it.
Exactly. Yeah. Life, I always say life is too short to be miserable.
Yeah.
It's just not. There's so many ways to make money. Find something else.
Find something else. Absolutely.
Yep.
So now it's a fun question. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I would be able to teleport. So I spend a lot of time traveling. And if I could just, go from here to Boston or here to San Francisco or here to, London in a blink of an eye, that would be fabulous, because I could get a whole lot more done in my lifetime if I didn't have to spend so many times on trains and buses and planes. And
planes, yeah. Yes, I absolutely agree. I for myself, I said I would like to fly. It's not like teleportation, but almost. Yes, but yeah, it's one of my favorites too. Teleportations can be very useful because myself, I also have big distances because I'm located in Europe and I go to United States very often, but not only because my real estate objects are in Asia too. So I actually really travel the world all the time. And yeah. I spend a lot of time in planes too. I stayed at Paris, then actually airports. I hate airports now, but
it's way harder to get anywhere today, and that's where patience comes in.
Yes, absolutely. So being able to teleport, it can be a very great power, I think. Yeah. If you, by magic, you could get back in time and talk to your 18 years old self, what would you say to yourself?
I would say dream bigger, believe more, and stop worrying about the things that don't matter. I'm I'm going to be 50 this year, and I feel more comfortable in my own skin and mind and potential than I ever have. And I would tell my 18-year-old self, stop worrying about what other people think. Stop worrying about what you look like. Stop worrying about if you're ever going to get there, and just do it. Just do it. And some of it I did, and some of it took me a lot longer to learn.
Yes, it can. Yeah, I think all of us, when we were just young, we have a self-doubt. Most of us,
Yeah.
and a teenager, it's never easy. I have my son who is also in this age, and I can see this also. He's comparing to others, and he is not sure what to do next and everything. So, but yeah, maybe it's a part of the game to self-doubt. Yes, and
yeah,
with the age we became wiser.
yes. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. What are you not very good at?
Oh, I'm not very good at the details.
Me neither. Me neither.
I'm a big picture thinker.
Yeah.
It was funny. Just the day before yesterday, I had posted a blog, and I have somebody edit all my blogs, except I didn't send it to my marketing, editing person this time. My husband's like, did you know there's a typo in there? I was like, of course there is. And so that for me, it's like, I know how to write, I know what it says, but I don't see those things. I'm focused on the big picture. So I need to surround myself with people who are good at the details,
yes,
who do see the minutia, because I'm likely to miss it, not because I don't know it. It's simply because I'm focused on what's next.
It's too small.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
It's my profile too, actually. I have, I don't know, 100 projects in a week. All of them are great. I want to implement them all. So I need somebody to stop me. Mm-hmm. And also I am always do the main thing, and I don't worry about the small details. And after this is always a disaster. So actually, for us, the people like this, we are actually creative persons. We are create the ideas, and we need it. But we also need to be partnered, or I don't know, have somebody in our team who actually can go and take all the details and implement the details. And stop us from being this, 100% a day by our speed, and slow us down. So finally, the project can be real. Otherwise, we just don't. Or it's
exactly.
It's not real. Our ideas. Yeah. What is your favorite way to unwind after a hard day?
In the summer, we have a pool, so I like to swim. Yes. In the winter, when it's, freezing here and it's dark in Maine, usually it's just, snuggle up on the couch with my hubby and watch Netflix. I like to, when the weather's not too cold, get out and snowshoe. But normally at the end of the day, my husband is my person, always has been. And, to get together at the end of the day, whether we swim together or just hang, is that's where I unwind. That's where I process my day. He is my detail person. He is that yes. And so he points out things to me that I would never see. And I think I help him to dream a little bit bigger.
Yes, it's a perfect marriage, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Again, a tricky question. If you could have a dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
So Zig Ziglar would be on my list.
Yes, I understood it.
My grandfather, my Papa John, he's been gone for a couple of years and just miss him.
Yes.
And then I would love to meet Brené Brown. I loved the work that she's been doing, and watching her grow her career. Very different work than I do, but would love to, sit down face to face with her. Or Oprah. She was one of those women, years when I was a younger woman who was really doing things other women hadn't done. And to talk about what was that like and how did she build kind of that following. So And I could probably go on. There's lots of, I just look at my bookcase here and I think, oh, I would love to meet her and him.
Yes, I see. That's a good choice, actually. They're absolutely amazing people. If you receive $10,000 like this out of blue, what would you use the money? How would you use the money?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would love to so I participate in a few different business plan competitions, one for a bank here, one for an organization that's kind of like a Shark Tank. They televise it here in Maine. So if I receive $10,000, I would like to run a small like Shark Tank just for the students that I have taught maybe in the last 3 to 5 years who are serious about being in business or already have a business, and use that as, maybe they get $5,000 up front and then there's, some kind of $5,000 a year later so that there's that incentive. I just think that would be really fun. The other idea that I've had, I'd probably need more than 10 grand, but each semester students write a business plan. And I've never taken the time to follow through. Another great idea I've had, that if I had, 50 to 100,000, we could actually have a second year course, like a higher level course for students who are really serious about entrepreneurship. We could pitch 10 or 15 ideas, choose one, and actually take a year and do an independent study and start the business. And I would love to be able to see what that looked like. Yeah.
I hope this idea will be realized one day, because it's absolutely beautiful.
And I've told students about it. And I'm like, okay, if you have any rich uncles or anybody that wants to give, a bunch of money so we could do this. I've had students who are like, I'd come back and take the class. Like, if you ever do that, sign me up. So
yes, okay, yeah. But maybe in the future it will.
Maybe.
Yes, okay. It's actually a brilliant idea. I think it has a future for it.
I hope so.
Useful. Yeah, I hope so too. What is your best tip for making the world a better place? Yeah, I already have some ideas, students, but yes, maybe something else.
Number one, I think if we all did this small thing, the world would change, is to smile.
Absolutely.
To be kind. People do business with people that they like. And yes, there's a lot of other things that, we could solve in the world, but I make it a kind of a weird practice. Like when I'm out, I intentionally like smile at people. And I think sometimes people think I'm like a creeper. But you realize, like why is that lady smiling at me? What's her problem? Or, I got on the bus the other day and the guy's like, you're way too happy. And I was like, I'd rather be that than the opposite. And I think no matter what our personality style, I tend to be more outgoing, but we can all do a simple smile, and it increases our energy and it changes the way our brain operates. And we need more of that. Just being nice to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's everywhere in the world, actually. Yes, because yet again, in United States, people are rather smiley. There are other parts of the world that people don't smile at all. Yeah. Now I'm more. I'd say pass more the time in Spain. It's okay here. People are very happy. It's a very happy nation. But sometimes I don't know. But sometimes you go somewhere else, just say yes. It's so cold. And it brings distances between people, and by consequences, doing business with them, it's a little bit more difficult. So yes, you can just be open and smile and be nice and kind to each other. It will be just positive for us and for our business and for our life and our well-being, and even we will live longer life.
Exactly.
There were some studies and say that if you laugh at least 5 minutes a day, we will live something like 10 years longer. I'm not sure about these numbers, but it was something like this. It was a scientific.
Yeah.
So we need to smile more and laugh more.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Have more fun.
Yeah. And work is fun too. Okay.
Yeah.
What is your next step? What is coming up on your horizon?
I am very excited. I am hosting my very first business growth retreat here in Maine in October. So we will have 15 business owners and some of their team here. We've got a beautiful inn on the ocean that is just phenomenal on the coast of Maine. And we will be spending 2 days working with this group of entrepreneurs on how to get ready to really make 2020 their best year.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
It has to be great. I love this kind of stuff. I also have my boot camps on real estate investment, and the place where you can actually really see the people, meet, share with them. And it's my favorite, actually, working with small groups like this. So congratulations, and I hope you will have kind of boot camp or workshops as long as you want. What is your best advice you can give to the listeners?
I would say stay the course. So many times with business owners, I see they do these fits and starts. They get really motivated and they do a bunch of marketing or business development or work on some projects. And then they either get busy or distracted or get working in the business again. And they're not consistent. And I would say, whether it's business development should be consistent. But whatever it is, it's like narrowing that focus and just staying consistent, staying the course. Because over time, that focus, that intense focus, coupled with consistency, over and over again, is going to make that business a lot more successful than when you're zigzagging all over the place and starting and stopping and changing gears.
Absolutely.
And have fun. I mean, it's got to be. If you don't love what you do, as we said earlier, go find something else. Start another business. Choose another career. Life is too short to be miserable and grumpy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Michelle. What is the best way to reach you?
Probably my website, which is nu-yar, nu-yar.com. My email address, my social media handles are all on there, so people can reach out and connect. Would love to, hear from them.
Okay. Thank you very much, Michelle, for your time. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, and see you next time. Okay. We hope you find this episode of the Roadmap to Wealth useful. Until next time, have a great week.